In the previous lesson, we just worked with a one table query, which we call a simple query. In this lesson, we're going to get a little bit more advanced. We're actually going to be using more than one table. We're going to be using two tables. And things get a little bit more complex. However, this is what allows you to get more complex data out of your database. When you download today's database, this is what it's going to look like. You may get this message here. Just click OK. All right, you can see that this has a lot more to it. If you'll look on your left side, you see that we have several tables in this database. And we also have several forms. If you'll remember, we did a lesson on forms. When you do a more complex query, there usually has to be some planning involved. We've got, first of all, we got to pinpoint exactly what you want to find out. You got to identify the information that you need. You've got to locate the tables that contain the information, and then you've also got to determine the search criteria. Now, in the search that we're going to be doing today, for today's lesson, we will be looking for this information. And I know it looks a little bit strange, but here's what we're going to try to find out. We want customers that live in the area, but we want them to be outside of the city limits. Okay, and in this case, it's going to be Raleigh. So we want customers that are outside of Raleigh, but they're going to be close to Raleigh. And then they also have to have placed an order before. And what I mean by an order is this database is what would be used by a bakery to place orders for baked goods. So if it meets everything, this would be our results. Okay, outside of Raleigh, but in the area, but they have also already placed an order. So they have to meet all three of these requirements or criteria in order to be in the search results, which would be right here. And as we go through this, I think it'll make a little bit more sense. All right, let's get back to our database. All right, the first thing we're going to do, just like we did yesterday, we're going to go to Create, and we're going to click where it says Query Design. All right, now, if you'll remember yesterday, we only had one table to worry about. Today, we've got several. But we're only going to use two of these tables. I want you to click on Customers, click Add, and I want you to click on the Orders table and click Add, and then Close. All right, you can see that these are related tables. They have related pieces of information, so you can see that they are connected. Okay? All right, now, the information that we need from these two tables in our search is we're going to need first name, last name, street address, city, state, zip code, and phone number. Okay, and up here the only thing we're going to need is the ID, the very first ID, so we'll double click that. Okay, so we're working with two tables. Now, this is the orders table, which means these are all the customers that actually already placed an order. So we want to make sure that our search requirements only has people that have placed an order. So we're going to have to make a slight change here. All right, we are going to double click on this little joiner here thing. Double click. And we are going to change this to number 3. And what this will do is it'll actually look at the orders table first before it looks at the customers table. Okay, you don't need to worry about that right now. You just need to follow the directions and you'll be fine. Okay, click OK. And you'll notice that our arrow now is going from right to left, which means it's going to search this table first to find the customers that have placed orders, and then it'll do our next search. Okay, now we mentioned before that we have a specific set of criteria that we need to put in. Okay, if you'll come down here under city, all right, there's something very specific that we need to put in here. And we're going to put in not in, and in parentheses, and inside the parentheses, these are going to be in quotation marks. We're going to put Raleigh. You must watch your spelling here. Okay, hopefully you can see that. Not in Raleigh. It's in quotation marks, and it's going to be also in parentheses. And the reason we're putting that in is so that we don't want any customers that are actually in Raleigh. We want the ones that are on the outskirts or close by. Now you may be saying, well, what are we going to do to figure out if they're not in Raleigh but they're also close? Well, we're going to go down here to the phone number, and we're going to put in here the word like, and in parentheses we're going to put in quotation marks 919, which is the area code, and we're also going to put an asterisk, and an asterisk in this case is referred to as a wildcard, so that it'll find all of the phone numbers that start with 919. Okay, so what we've got in here is we've already searched this table to find the customers that placed an order. That's the first requirement. And then we will be searching this table to find all of the customers that are not in Raleigh but are close by that have an area code 919. Okay, all right, let's go ahead and run this and see what we get and see if it meets our search requirement. Okay, now the first thing we need to look at is the city. There should be nobody from Raleigh because we said not in Raleigh. Okay, and the other thing is they have to be close by, which means they're going to have a 919 area code, so their phone number. So that meets our requirements. That's exactly what we wanted. I want you to right click here and save, and let's just call this lesson 11. Okay, and when you send it back to me, I'll be looking over here for your query called lesson 11, and I should see these results. Okay, and this is called a complex query because we are using more than one table. Okay, all right, that's it for today.